Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and yep, we're still in lockdown, and yep, we're all out and about once in a while when we have to, grocery stores, whatever. And when you're going about, chances are you are wearing one of these things. Maybe not, this was actually fairly expensive, but you're wearing a face mask, whether it be a disposable one or a much fancier one that you could change out the filters, who knows. But face masks are going to become the way of the world for at least a little while. Now, there have been conflicts about that. We talked about a little bit on the live stream last night how some stores which were requiring people to wear masks are now not requiring them and just strongly suggesting because people are basically getting sick of their freedoms being taken away, or, however you want to put it, and they are refusing to wear masks, even though, frankly, masks are a very low inconvenience and can save a lot of lives, but whatever. I'm not a pundit channel. And yet, I am a tech discussion channel. And I have talked about rideshare for a long time. Now, a lot of you have noticed I'm not talking about rideshare as much. But once in a while, I will come back to the well, especially for stories like these. Because one of my viewers, Roger, actually sent me this article. Thank you, Roger, by the way. And he has pointed out that Uber is now going to require drivers and customers to wear face masks. But you know what? That makes sense. I would prefer they shut the app down entirely. I think they contribute way more to the problem. In fact, as some people keep pointing out as this goes on and on, a lot of people are hospital workers and they don't have transportation, so they need Uber and Lyft to get to the hospital. And it's yeah, that's what makes this even more dangerous. Because if your primary if your primary customers are hospital people, nurses and stuff, then they have a much better chance of getting the C virus, which means you're going to get it, which means you're going to take it home. So no, it's not a good idea, folks. I'm sorry. It's just not a good idea. But what happens in situations where, like this, because I'm not fascinated by a story because Uber's making you wear face masks. That's a given. That's a total given at this point. What I'm fascinated by is that they're developing tech to ensure that the drivers are wearing face masks, and are they doing the same thing for the riders? Because you know that when it comes to Uber, drivers and riders, they're treated very, very differently. But let's look at this article from Engadget. Uber is coming to terms with the new reality imposed by the C virus pandemic, and it's using technology to make sure everybody adjusts. The company has confirmed to CNN Business that it's requiring face masks or similar coverings for both drivers and passengers in countries like the U.S. And before we continue, my question on that is okay, but what happens if a driver is caught not wearing a face mask? Clearly they can get deactivated. What if there's a complaint that a driver's not wearing a face mask, but in fact they are? Is that another unfair deactivation? And what about passengers? If they come in without a face mask, are they going to... because here's the thing. Passengers have the final word on everything. If a driver comes up and a passenger isn't wearing a face mask, the driver says, nope, sorry, can't pick you up, the passenger can make a phony report that you were the one not wearing the face mask and get you fired. So, But here's the catch. Because Uber is also developing technology to detect whether or not drivers are abiding by those rules. It didn't elaborate how the technology would work, although Uber already has a real-time ID check feature that periodically asks drivers to take selfies. Maybe that's one of it. A CNN tipster added that Uber was looking into ways to ensure riders wore masks, although privacy concerns clearly make that more difficult. Well, hold on one second, Uber. Hold on one second. You're developing technology to track your drivers. The drivers are not employees. They're independent contractors, unless you're in California. The drivers are independent contractors. They should choose to run their business however they see fit, but you're tracking them. And you're saying they're not employees. But when it comes to the riders, well, hey, we'd like to track the riders, but we're looking into privacy concerns. Why is it always the passengers get a privacy concern, but not the drivers? Don't answer that. I know the answer. It's because you're all SOBs, that's why. But anyway, Uber has already been supplying masks and disinfectants to drivers. But, by the way, I hear that's not entirely true, but whatever. But this new policy might be vital if the company hopes to revitalize its business as governments lift their lockdown restrictions. Ride-sharing has taken a sharp hit as stay-at-home orders, closed doors, and fear of travel have left would-be consumers reluctant to go anywhere, especially in the close confines of a car. Masks would not only reduce the chances of infection, but increase trust for both sides. Although it should be mentioned, it does not actually eliminate the threat. It's a little better, granted, but it doesn't eliminate anything. It might also be necessary for the survival of the company. Lyft recently laid off more than 1,000 employees to adapt to the financial realities, and the informant has claimed Uber is looking to lay off roughly 20% of its staff. Jobs cut like these could help the companies weather declines for a while, but they might not be enough if would-be customers remain frightened. So, here's my feelings on this one. The mask should have been required a long time ago. And granted, Uber said that they were going to provide masks. They've done a very poor job of doing that. Every company who said they're going to provide masks has done a very, very poor job of actually providing masks. I don't know if that's completely their fault. It's just the situation we're in. However, where this gets very interesting to me, again, is in the fact that they will be trying to track the drivers. Now, positive first. If they're actually, tracking the driver and they're requiring some form of check-in with the mask and all that jazz, then maybe they could curb a lot of false reports that, hey, the drivers aren't wearing a mask, give me a free ride because I didn't feel safe. Which, if you didn't feel safe, why'd you get in the car? I mean, if you see the driver's not wearing a mask, don't get in the car. It's that simple. I mean, of course, there's not logic being used in any of this, because we all know people want a free ride, and that's what they're going to do. But here's the thing. Taking that aside, what right does Uber have to be monitoring the drivers like this? Seriously, what right do they have? The drivers are not their employees. I mean, in California they might be, but they're still not paying them like employees. They're not giving them benefits like employees. The unemployment money, which the vast majority of drivers will not get, Uber and Lyft aren't paying that money. You, the drivers, are paying that money. And you're going to be paying yourselves back that money in the next year. And then they say, hey, we want to enforce riders, but there's privacy concerns. Well, maybe you should have a standard then that you should just have to trust the drivers when they don't pick up a passenger. And they say, hey, we wanted to pick this passenger up, but they weren't wearing a mask. So, again, Uber's double standard is on full display here. Again, they are requiring drivers and passengers to wear masks. However, I suspect once put into practice, when it comes between the driver and the passenger will get a lot more leeway and a lot more of their privacy protected than the driver will. And Uber will still be living by their own rules rather than the rules of the state or any other sensible law out there. However, that's where I am going to end this one. Do I look like Maine in this video? I don't know. Anyway, that was a side note. I would like to know what all of your thoughts are on this story. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I would love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.